to the Faroe Islands. March 2024. A whole month of local news. Straight from the source, no opinions, just the facts. Politics, business, bit of everything.
Your monthly Faroe Islands update. Buckle up.
Let's start with politics. The Lugsing, that's the Faroes Parliament, had quite a march.
Busy month. They started right off March 1st debating a whole new fisheries management system. Big deal, right? You know how important fishing is there.
Huge. Any change to those fishing rights, that's going to have a ripple effect for sure.
Absolutely. And then March 5th, bam, a new political party pops up, center-left, focused on social stuff and the environment.
Things are getting interesting, especially with elections coming up.
Right. Then March 8th, we got the budget proposal for 2025, and finance minister presented it. Big focus on healthcare and education spending.
Interesting. Shows where their priorities are.
Yeah, and of course can't talk Faroe Islands without mentioning those EU fishing negotiations.
Right. They went on all through March, trying to figure out those annual fishing quotas. Still no agreement by month's end.
Never easy, is it? Lots at stake for both sides. Oh, and almost forgot, end of the month, March 26, new government formed.
Three-party coalition. They got their ministers appointed just 2 days later on the 28th.
New folks in charge. Always got to watch and see what they do. All right, let's step out of the Parliament building for a minute. What's happening in the business world?
Salmon, right. Bakkafrost, the big salmon farming company, their annual report came out March 7th. Profits a bit lower this year.
Bakkafrost, they're a big deal in the Faroe Islands. When their profits change, people feel it.
True. But hey, good news on the unemployment front. Stayed stable all through March.
Always a positive sign. And, times are changing. March 21st, Chamber of Commerce held this whole conference all about sustainable development, green growth.
Interesting. Even in the Faroes, sustainability is a hot topic.
It's everywhere. Okay, quick rundown what was happening culturally and socially in March.
Give us the highlights.
National Theater, they premiered a new play, March 4th, by a local playwright. Always cool to see.
Definitely. Oh, and March 11th, Faroe's musician won an award over in Denmark.
Making a name for themselves. Then, back home in Tórshavn, March 18th, big cultural festival. Huge crowd celebrating Faroe's arts and culture.
Sounds lively. And get this, sales of books in Faroes, record high in March.
Wow, that's something. Shows how strong the language is. Speaking of health.
What's new on that front?
National Hospital, they got a brand new MRI scanner March 6th. Big improvement for diagnostics.
That's great news. And they're tackling mental health, too. New program started March 20th, specifically for young people.
Important issue everywhere. Then, Tórshavn, they had their Environment Week, started March 13th. Lots of events, raising awareness about environmental stuff.
A whole week dedicated to it.
All right, let's finish this first part with some sports.
Let's do it. Sports highlights, bring them on.
Okay, football fans in Klaksvik, they were celebrating March 2nd. Their team kept big win in an away match.
Nice. And on March 9th, a Faroes swimmer broke a national record at a competition.
Impressive. Oh, and the men's national football team, they had a friendly match against Liechtenstein, March 25th.
International competition. Always exciting.
All right, that wraps up part one. We'll be back soon to dive into March weather in the Faroe Islands. You never quite know what you're going to get.
True.
Yeah.
So what was it like this year? Anything unusual?
Well, it was, typical March. We had a bit of everything, snow, some sleet, even saw the sun a few times, and of course rain. Plenty of rain.
Sounds familiar. Any big storms, though? Anything unusual?
Not any named storms, no. But the first part of March, whoa, some strong winds. Heavy rain, too, for a few days there.
Oh, I bet that caused some travel headaches, ferries, flights, all that.
Yeah, definitely some disruptions. But, it's the Faroe Islands.
Adds to the adventure, right? But those winds calmed down eventually.
They did. Things got a bit calmer later in the month. Even had some really nice days. Crisp, sunny, not all wind and rain, thankfully.
Always good to get a bit of sunshine, especially in March. So, temperature-wise, how was it? Anything out of the ordinary?
Temperatures were pretty average for March, nothing too extreme.
Okay, so not a particularly harsh March. That's good. Any weather-related incidents? Damage or anything like that?
Despite those strong winds early on, nothing major. No reports of damage or injuries, at least not because of the weather. So, yeah, pretty typical March, I'd say.
Okay, so a classic Faroe Islands March in the books. All right, well, that was a quick look at March weather. Now, I'm curious, what really stood out to you from all this March news?
Yeah, good question. It's interesting to look back, isn't it? What was the most significant thing for you?
It's amazing, isn't it? So much happening in just 1 month, even in a place like the Faroe Islands. Political stuff, cultural events, football, you name it. You really get a sense of life there.
Yeah, it's like a snapshot, right, of everything going on. And the thing is, all these separate news stories, they're all kind of connected when you think about it. Politics changing, the economy doing its thing, all this focus on sustainability, it's all happening at the same time.
Like it's all part of the bigger picture, right?
Exactly. And that picture, at least from what we saw in March, it's a society changing, adapting to the world, but still holding on to what makes them unique.
Finding that balance, yeah,
Yeah.
between progress and tradition.
Right. Think about that fisheries management debate.
Yeah.
That's tied to the economy, to those EU talks, even to the environment.
It all comes together. And that new political party focusing on social and environmental issues, that's interesting too. Shows what people are thinking about.
Definitely. And even those Faroe's books flying off the shelves, that tells you something. People want to hold on to their culture even with all these changes happening.
It's like they're saying, hey, we're part of the world, but we're also our own place. Well, I think that about wraps up our deep dive into March 2024 in the Faroe Islands. We covered a lot, but as always, there's so much more to explore.
Yeah, keep an eye on things. It'll be interesting to see what happens next.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning.